Come sit right here, tell me everything. Start from the beginning. Let it all pour out. I will catch your story in my wings. This is the beginning of all that we cry out for. You seeing me, seeing you. We are found. I know you live all alone in a cold and dark room. I know you don't see the way out. You're stuck there for good. I know how it feels. I've lived it too. Shadows
All the
on
way from the ridge in High Ridge, Missouri, this is Huggy Kindness, a loving kindness fairy with Huggy Kindness Studios at Tea Time, a Cup of LovingKindness podcast series. Here, this is Loving Kindness Land, a community garden where we can just be seen in the light for who we are and be witnessed for the gifts and the authentic radiance that we each bring to this world. Everyone, we have a wonderful guest star on today's show. Shannon Curtis has been a singer-songwriter for a solo career of 17 years and a band before that, so a total of 25 years altogether, and is here today to share some of her journey of where she's been, the life experiences that she's had, and the music that has taken her through all of that. Dear Shannon, I just want to thank you for joining us here today. It is a true gift having you here for me because it was in 2015 that I heard your song for the first time. I was in a coaching program, a personal development program, and each time my cohort entered the room, we listened to this song as a magical kind of centering and a regrounding to help get us back into the space for some really challenging purging and self-healing experiences. So it was really your song, I know, that has inspired how I show up for myself and others. And for that, I am deeply grateful. You know, with you being here today, I just want to know, can you share a little bit of the inspiration behind the song and why you felt called to bring its creation into existence?
Oh, first of all, you sharing how that song has been part of your life in the way that it has is so meaningful to me. Like, you don't even know. Thank you for sharing that. And really that is just like the apex goal for me as a creator, that, I hope with everything that I make that it finds its way into people's lives in a way that helps them to make a deeper connection with themselves and with other people. That's sort of my mission statement of why I create. So thank you for sharing that story. That's
Yeah.
really, really cool.
And thank you because it's infused like throughout every step of my way since. It's been like a roadmap. It's been something that I call from my heart, and really I think gave me strength to be able to endure the different things in my life to be able to build Loving Kindness Land and this podcast series to what it is. It's like the wind beneath my wings.
That's
And
incredible to hear.
it gives me chills every time I hear the song. So that's why I say each time when I start the podcast series and I give thanks to your song and to you, it's like hearing it over again, like for the first time.
That is so meaningful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To tell you the story behind the song and why it sort of came into being for me, in about 2011, I started doing house concerts. I had been doing lots of touring prior to that, in like little coffee houses, clubs, things like that, normal places that you might find a singer-songwriter or somebody sitting behind a piano doing. doing songs. But we started doing house concerts, and the vibe of a house, I don't know if you've ever been to a house concert before, but like the vibe of a house concert is so much different than the vibe in any other kind of like public music venue. It's
Okay.
just so much more intimate. It's so much more personal. And so I started having these experiences as we, started doing more and more house concerts over the years, where, I would be in someone's living room or someone's backyard, and I'd be at this piano, and I'd be, singing my songs, and in between the songs, telling my personal stories of where the songs came from. And I'm an emotional person with a a dramatic flair. So I'm when I write music, I'm writing stuff that's really personal. That I write about stuff that I'm working through personally on my insides, right?
That's
So when I was sharing stories about some of these things, really what would happen is I would spend an hour in front of people pouring out my heart and letting them see me, in a pretty vulnerable sort of way. And what I discovered at these house concerts was most nights, pretty much every night at these shows, I'd go over to my pop-up store afterward, to help people get t-shirts and CDs and stuff like that. And there would be like a small line of people waiting to talk to me, and they were perfect strangers, people I only had met earlier that night. We were not like BFFs or anything like that. But these people were lining up, and then when they would get to me, they would clasp my hand and look at me in the eyes and well up with tears and share with me, I just need to tell you how I've been struggling with depression for the last 5 years. And I just wanted you to know, basically. Or I want to tell you that I got divorced 2 years ago, and here's what my experience has been like since then. I need to tell you that I'm going through cancer right now. And so people sharing with me their deepest stuff, And I think that on one level, I've always been that kind of person who attracts, I think people know that I will listen, so that there's that part of my personality. But also, I struggled to see why this was happening every night. But I think that the magic was that I had spent an hour showing myself to people, being like, here, I'm going to open up my heart and let you see me. And I think that experience of people in the audience having seen me do that was something like an invitation for them to be like, you know what, I could let this person see me too, and I could actually feel like I'm a little less alone, because she's shown me that we can open up and we can say these things to each other. And so these little magic moments, that experience was in my head. And then I in 2014, 2015, discovered the work of Brene Brown. And started diving into her stuff. And I mean, especially during that time, all of her work was about vulnerability. It was, really underlining. She helped put words to what my experience was with these people. It was like, when we allow ourselves to, in the appropriate safe spaces to do that, to open ourselves up and show ourselves to each other, we create an opportunity for the kinds of connection that we need with each other to survive and thrive in this life. We have to, that is how we get there. That's how we get all of the good juices that make our lives that keep us going and make it worth living, right?
Yes.
It starts with that moment. And so that's where the song I Know came from. It was just like, look, come here, sit with me, tell me everything, and I'm going to do that for you too. And we're going to be there for each other, because we're less alone than we let ourselves think that we are, Trauma, pain, heartache, it all convinces us that we're the only ones. It tries to convince us that we're the only ones, and we're not.
Right.
And so that's where the song came from.
That's awesome. This connects so much to what I do as a clinical social worker during the day. And I was working with some unhoused individuals, and my management team would often, say about self-care, and I can only give this much, and that these individuals are only ready when they're ready. And I would always call BS, because when I sat down next to them and I just offered that warmth, just being next to them, they would often tell me, hey, like, thank you so much. I haven't felt like a human in 6 months. And it was that like entry point of us just seeing each other. No matter like, this is my experience, this is your experience. It was like, hey, we're both human. That then gave them steps in our treatment plan to be able to like open up a pathway. It was like a keyhole for them to like be like, hey, this person like is by my side, like I don't have to do this alone. And then we were able, it like freed up, it took down the wall of resistance. It freed up some space for us to then create a treatment plan that gave them some steps to walk. And the same kind of experience that you're sharing is one that I walked with these individuals. And I hope, you know, with creating spaces like this, that more of these experiences can come about. So, Shannon, there's some really exciting news that just came out for you with recently launching a new album called Good to Me. And I want to hear more about that story and how, you know, these loving kindness moments, these moments of just being present with each other, you know, meeting each other where we're at. How does that fit into being good to me? I know we often talk about self-care in our field, which is, or just in life in general, and that's great. But is there a piece to this that has a community care as well to it?
100%. I mean, I will get to the community care part. Let me
Okay.
back up and tell you how this album started.
Okay.
As briefly as I can.
Yeah.
But it was early 2022, so just about a year ago from when we're recording this right now. It was time for me to start writing a new record. I have been on a pretty brisk pace of writing a record every year for the last decade. And it was time for me to start writing. And I was completely empty. Like I was so stressed out and anxious about the state of the world. I mean, we were in the second winter of the pandemic with this new variant that was like on fire. And we're like, what the heck? How much longer are we gonna have to deal with all this? Like, there's, you know, this rising fascist movement in the United States that just a year prior to that had, you know, been part of an attempted coup on the U.S. Capitol. Like, what the hell? You know, like there's
Right.
like I'm a kind of person who wants to stay up with on the news. And so, you know, I read all that stuff every day. And then I read all this stuff about like the accelerating climate crisis. I just was like every day just carrying this weight of worry, also anger, and like the prospect of having to sit down and write an album was like, how am I going to do that? Like, I don't have anything in me to do that. Also, if I were to try to like eke that out, how could it possibly be worth anything coming from somebody in the state that I was in and being so emotionally tapped? And also on top of that, like, what significance does writing new songs have when like the problems of the world that I was feeling concerned about were so big? Like, who
Okay.
needs new songs to listen to when the world's on fire? You know what I mean? So these are the thoughts in my head, and I just had a moment of clarity or inspiration. I'm not even sure what it was, but like, it dawned on me that this might be an opportunity for me to dive back into some practices that I learned when I started 12-step recovery
Okay.
nearly 18 years ago.
Okay.
My program is Codependence Anonymous, so that's probably all you need to know about that. But it saved my life then, and I realized, and it's been part of my life ever since. Of course, recovery is something that continues
Okay.
forever and ever, and every good thing that has come in my life has been a result of my work in recovery, for sure. But I just sensed that maybe I needed to kind of, I was not experiencing serenity in my life, clearly. And I knew that getting back into some recovery principles could be something that would help me to do that. So I decided to kind of set myself on like a self-healing journey, like giving myself prompts that I sort of derived from the Serenity Prayer, which is just sort of a mantra that we use in recovery. A lot of our meetings, you know, we start with, you know, reciting this prayer. And I should say, by the way, that I'm not a religious person. I used to be a long time ago, and I'm not now. And so even though it's called a prayer and it starts with the word God, you know, it's very important to recognize that in 12-step recovery, everybody's higher power is a higher power of their own understanding. It's not any sort of religious system, you know, that's imposed upon anyone. And so but I knew that the power of this, the serenity prayer is a prayer that says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so I picked apart all of the ideas in that prayer and gave myself a series of journal prompts to really dig into the ideas of separating the things that I do have the power to change from those that I don't.
Okay.
Looking at what radical acceptance looks like. What does courage have to do with any of this? Like, why do I need courage? And I set myself on this journey. And at the end of each sort of step of the journey, I wrote a song, and that's what became the album. And
that's amazing.
The idea was that, like, I need this work for myself. I need it. And in the spirit of kind of like the I know story, like, if I were to offer this work that I'm doing inside myself to my community via this music, then maybe it would be a way for me to be of service in showing folks, hey, here's what I've been through, and if you need this kind of healing in your life too, maybe it's just kind of a way of sort of holding the door open for people to find that path for themselves as well.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
But to get to the point of your question about, is there a community aspect to this? Yeah. Because what I learned in this journey is that there's a lot of work to be done in the world to work on these problems that stress me out, that can stress me out, you know? I don't have a single ounce of power to do anything about those things. I certainly can't do anything on my own, you know, about the big problems, but I don't have a single ounce of power to do anything, to do my part in changing those things even, and being part of a community that does that. If I'm not doing work inside of me to cultivate my internal sense of peace and personal power, I was allowing my feelings about these issues to sort of whip me around. Like, this is how I felt when I first entered recovery years and years ago, that I was at the end of the tail end of a whip.
Okay.
That just, you know, circumstances, my emotions just taking me, I had no power. I'd given that all away, just be at the mercy of whatever feelings or circumstances or people's influence or whatever. This work of getting centered back into the ideas around the serenity prayer, what it did for me is allowed me to reconnect to a sense of peace that I get when I am able to let go of things that aren't in my power to change.
Okay.
And also to receive the things that I do have the power to change in a way that's like, okay, there's real power there. I actually really do have power in my life when I see this list of things that are in my power to change every single day. And when I engage with that, like, it increases my sense of being able to stand in serenity in the midst of ongoing chaos. Like, the issues haven't ended, you know, like it, and all the stuff in my personal life, whatever's going on, like that stuff is all still swirling. But the promise of all of this is that I can cultivate my own sense of peace in the midst of that. And when I do that, I actually have access to my power, and I can see in that state other people who are doing their work and have peace in their lives and have access to their power, and then we multiply. Like, that's just like supercharged, right?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
So, like, sort of the bottom line is really that, like, if I want to be part of a community of people that are doing work to help heal each other, heal the world, like, the first step is to do the work on myself. Like the fundamental sort of building blocks to building a better world is each and every single one of us working on our own stuff.
Yeah.
Healing ourselves. That's the first thing. That's the first step. And I really learned that in a new sort of powerful way, you know, doing this work over this last year.
That's awesome. Like, I think the piece of this that like resonates with me so much is this description and illustrative way that you described personal power and radical acceptance. And I've been a part of DBT practices as a patient myself in mental health with bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder. but also as someone that teaches DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, to clients. And to hear this illustrative way that you talk about power is so helpful to me in going forward now. And I look forward, I know that you have a part of this album, a journal, something that I think you could speak to more, but I look forward to it coming in the mail. I ordered one, and helping me to illustrate this sense of power for myself, because I've been able to teach and describe and do radical acceptance for myself in my life. However, I've always hit a wall a little bit in um, being able to describe it to others. I can do it kind of innately for myself, but how do I supercharge this thing? And really hone it in for my own self, to then be able to then offer that same teachings to other people. So thank you for that today. That was a really cool thing to just to hear you describe that. Was really powerful. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for buying the book too.
Yes.
So yeah,
yes.
that's part of this project. Is once I told you I gave myself these prompts, right?
Okay.
And my prompts became journal entries, and I wrote them in my journal, like in pencil, like that's what I do. And it's just like, writing, stream of consciousness, sort of like responses to these prompts.
Okay.
And then those journal entries became the source material for the lyrics for each of the songs on the record, right? So once that was all finished, I realized that maybe the journal entries themselves might be helpful to other people too. And so that's why I put the book together. And so the book is each chapter begins with the prompts for each song on the album, sort of in this linear, sort of programmatic order. And the prompts are not like specific to the issues that I was concerned about, right? They're generalizable, like to anything that might be troubling you, or anything that you might need to work through.
Okay.
But then the prompts are followed by essays that are really just my cleaned up journal entries. So like from the chicken scratch in there to like something that's readable for anyone else. The essays are just essentially, I'm sharing with you the stuff. What did I dig into with each of these questions, and how did I wrestle with these concepts? Again, the issues that anyone reading it might be facing might be different than the ones that I did, but it's sort of like an example. It's like here's how one person, dug into these journal prompts. I hope that sort of like just cracks the door open for people to use the prompts for whatever it is that they might be needing to sort of like dig into,
See, and this is like what I kind of get at, like with sitting next to the individuals on the street, like it's a keyhole, like, and just by you offering, doing some of this work yourself, and then being able to sit next to someone or offer this book that they can purchase, where they can then have you kind of, in this, I don't know the word, but like you're sitting next to them basically with the book in their hand, kind of, and they're like, okay, I'm not alone. I get to like have the same prompt that this other person went through, to be able to discover their own power and help make those distinctions between, okay, what's in my power, what's not in my power. That is just, that's amazing to me, just thinking about all the people that are going to be able to have that book in their hands. Yeah, I hope that for them, and I hope that for you, because I think community really builds out of these true experiences, these ones that we have moved through, to be able to then stand here now and say, hey, like I walked through that. And I came up with this true statement. I went and saw the real Patch Adams back in July, and it was a course on constructing humanism, and we had to come up with a false statement and a true statement. And my true statement is what I want that false statement to be, and it's that no one should ever have to walk through the fire of suffering alone, that no one should celebrate victories alone, that we, love each other in, through, and out of the fire. We love each other through the victories, and we love each other safely home. That happens not just you know, by like with each other. That happens in knowing that when I retreat to my bedroom and I'm doing some work on my own in meditation or whatever, just knowing that someone's there, like it's okay for us to retreat. It's okay for us to have these spaces where we can do the inner work. And it's okay also to be with others. And um, I think that your book helps illustrate that. Your music helps illustrate that. You talking today about this real importance of being, or, you know, doing the work yourself really helps illustrate that. And yeah, thank you for sharing that so much. Thank you. Shannon, in relation to loving kindness, how does being loving and kind make the difference in being good to ourselves in our relationships, circumstances, and achieving our goals?
Mm. I actually love that question because I think that I I have a deeper understanding of what that question is getting at now than I did a year ago when I started this most recent project, you know? I think that I might have answered that question previously in a way that sort of like, you know, even if you don't feel like it, you got to pour out your loving kindness. Like, just do it, you know, like, too bad if you're dry. Got to do it anyway.
Yeah. It's like the loving kindness for ourselves is like picking ourselves up sometimes, you know, when it's tough.
Yeah. But I know with just 100% certainty, especially given working the fact that I've worked through these ideas so intensely over the last year, I don't have any loving kindness to give to you if I'm not practicing that with myself.
Yes, very true.
I don't have it. Like and it's not sustainable for me. It's also not productive in terms of me being a part of like changing things for the better in the world, the stuff that I really care about, you know? Like we have to, if we call ourselves, you know, members of a community, if we call ourselves activists, if we call ourselves, you know, we have to prioritize loving kindness to ourselves first. Like it's like the oxygen mask, right? Like you can't,
Totally.
They tell you when you're, you know, God forbid I'm ever on a plane where actually they fall from the ceiling. I might
Me either.
freak out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, they always say, you know, to put your own on first before you help people around you. It's because if you don't do that, you aren't going to be around to help the people around you. Yes. Put it on. You have to. That is just the order of operations. And so so that is really it. Is like I and that's why the album is called Good to Me. It is the essential part of that is the essential, you know, meaning behind that title is that the first thing I've got to do is to be good to myself if I care about being good to others.
Yeah.
And building a better world with them. You know, like that's the first thing I've got to do. And I'm the only one who can do it. Guess what? I'm the only one who can do that for myself.
Yeah.
There's nobody that's going to swoop in on a white horse and do it for me.
Right.
You know, much as we like adore like superhero movies in our culture, right? And I do. I love Marvel. I think it's great. There's not a hero coming to save us.
Yeah.
There's not a hero coming to save our world. There's not a hero coming to save us individually. We are always the people that have to do that work for ourselves. And also, how great, that's great news.
Yeah.
That's great news because it means that we're not waiting on somebody else to come and save us from whatever turmoil we're in. We have the power within us.
Yeah, like the clean slate is always there.
It is. We are. Look, I believe with my whole heart that as a being in this universe, it's my birthright to have peace in my spirit.
Yeah.
And it is a birthright to be empowered in my life. That is true for every single one of us, no matter what. Certainly, I've lived a lot of years of my life not being at peace in my spirit. I've lived a lot of years of my life feeling completely disconnected from my own power. Didn't even know I had it. Right?
Yeah.
And there are so many systems in place that want to keep us in that mindset because it helps perpetuate a status quo that is just exploitative and harmful and all that, right? But when we do the work of clearing out the stuff that we need to clear out, to let go of the things we don't have the power to change, to embrace the things we do have the power to change, and choose courage to actually do those things. Man, that's a powerful place to be, because we're no longer waiting for somebody else to just take care of stuff. We realize that we are the ones who will save the day. I'm the one.
Yeah,
You're the one.
I'm the one. We become the manifestors.
Yes.
You can just like, oh, so I have this magical wand. I don't know where I put it, but it is. I'm looking forward to the day that I can just be like this, and it's right here in this moment. We're declaring it, that we are the one, and we can be good to ourselves, so that we can offer more to a community. Yeah. Thank you, Shannon. Is there anything else that's on your heart's mind that you would like to share in this space that is yours? Each person that comes to Loving Kindness Land, this is your space to just share what you want with the world, to be seen in the light for who you are.
That's a lovely question. I feel like I just need to take a moment to just listen to see what that might be, because a phrase that has been on my mind a lot for the last several days that I guess I'll share with you here, because it's just something that's feeling very close to my heart right now, is this phrase, and it just pops into my mind at the most random times: ease and abundance. Ease and abundance. And I believe that I am living in ease and abundance, and I want to live in ease and abundance, and I want everyone to live in ease and abundance. And I'm not exactly sure how to explain that.
Yes.
I just want to share that it's something that I feel my spirit is really sort of like embracing right now, and I wanted to share it with you.
When I hear that, I hear it comes back to the radical acceptance and knowing what is in my power, what's not. And it instantly in my heart, when I'm just imagining making those distinctions, I'm in ease and I'm in abundance. Like, I feel like my heart space is that. My heart space is that ooey gooiness of ease and abundance. Yeah. Thank you, Shannon, for just being here today. It's been a joy. And until next time, everyone, with love, light, and laughter, Huggy Smiles Kindness. Sorry, I get nervous. So
You did great. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was in the hospital over Christmas, so I had like some med changes that I was trying to do from May until like December, and I didn't get to like the right dosage. So I ended up having an episode, and it landed me in the hospital. And when I was in the hospital, the whole system there just messed up all my medication. So I've been trying to get off of that. And so I called the doctor today, and she's taking me off of it finally. We had to like wean me off of that one, but it was causing me like this weird agitation and stuff. And I felt like it was getting in the way of my breath work. So that's where some of the shakiness in my voice and stuff is coming from. But
it's hardly noticeable, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
It just seems like you're at the surface, like that's
excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what it comes across as.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is awesome. I'll put this together and I'll have it for your viewing, because just anyone that's a part of this, I like to just have it. I'll have like an unlisted link that I can send you. Did you see the album cover at all that I made?
Oh, it looks great. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So would you like me to use the top portrait and then the album cover, and then I could just say album is available now?
Yeah, great. You can just say it's streaming everywhere or whatever.
Okay. Okay.
The only place to get the book right now is via Amazon.
Okay,
so yeah, that's that link is perfect.
Okay, I'll put that on there.
Okay.
Thank you, Shannon. So good to see you.
Thank you.
Oh, Jamie,
By
hi.
the way, Jamie said to tell you hi before I came
Sweet.
upstairs, actually.
Awesome.
So.
Cool. I hope to make it up. Oh, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, when you first introduced yourself to us, you were going by the name Maddie. Is your name now Huggy?
Yeah, I legally changed my name back in October to Huggy Smiles Kindness. So it's a statement. It's a intentional sentence that Huggy, who I am, smiles kindness to the world. So
That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Huggy, thank you. It's been
Thank
so
you.
great to spend
Yeah.
time with you.
You too. I hope you have a good day. I hope to get out to Tacoma, Washington one day. I used to live in Sacramento, so yeah,
You lived in Sacramento?
Yeah, I used to live there.
When?
Yeah. 2007 to 2010.
I lived there from 1999 through 2006.
Oh my gosh, I just
We
missed you.
just missed you.
That's
Yes.
funny. I want to see
Yeah.
the storm clouds or the clouds that go over the mountain that you talk about a lot. Yeah.
The Pacific Northwest is magical. Are you from Missouri originally?
Yeah, I'm from Missouri, but I hope to get back out there. I want to live out there on like a coastal home,
Oh,
or
yes.
like somewhere in the Bay or something. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Washington seems more beautiful like each time I like review it. So-
It's the most beautiful state. We've traveled all over the United States, and there are beautiful places. And here, it's captured all of my heart. It is so awesome.
Do you care if I use some of these candid moments and?
Oh no, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I like those. I want to be known for these like candid moments in my producing.
I love it.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you have a good day.
You too. Thank
All right,
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take your power.
Bye.
Shadows only catch us from behind. Let's turn and face them. Switch on the light. Never mind the cracks you try